particularly in the south and the east. It is going to be turning a good deal fresher though, this cold front bringing in some fresher winds from the Atlantic as we go into Sunday, and those isobars tightening together to bring some brisker winds. One or two showers on Saturday evening, just moving their way eastwards across England and Wales, but many areas actually ending the day on a dry note with some clear periods overnight. Notice these clumps of heavy showers and longer spells of rain arriving across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland though, and here turning quite windy once again. Temperatures not as high as they have been in recent nights and feeling a good deal fresher by the morning. So for Northern Ireland and western parts of Scotland, quite a wet start to the day on Sunday. That rain particularly heavy across the Highlands, the Grampians and down across the central belt as well. A mixture of sunshine showers to the northwest of Scotland and across Northern Ireland. So you may be lucky enough to stay dry just about here. But a few isolated showers also for Northern England, Wales and southwest England too. The best of the morning sunshine across the Midlands and eastern parts of the UK. But as we go through the morning, the cloud will tend to just bubble up a bit towards the east. Still some sunny spells here. Some pretty heavy showers, the odd rumble of thunder though across Wales, Northern England and Western Scotland. And here it will be a fairly blustery day, perhaps even coastal gales through the Irish Sea. So feeling quite a bit cooler than it has done of late. Still holding on to a little bit of warmth in the far southeast with highs of around 22 or 23 in the London area. A fine day to come for most of us on Monday, just a few very isolated showers developing, but notice it does start to turn much windier up towards the northwest and out towards the west. We've got this much wetter and windier area of weather coming in from Monday night and into Tuesday. So a wet and windy spell for many of us as we begin the day on Tuesday, and it looks set to stay pretty changeable for the rest of the week.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could be our biggest winner yet, touring in this stylish Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. This brand new 2025 model comes complete with kitchen and bathroom areas and enough space to comfortably sleep a family of four. We'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to add a few of your favourite things. Don't miss out as lines close on the 6th of June. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, It happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Saturday 5 Extra. It's Saturday night and it's the biggest show on Saturday night TV. I'm Alex Armstrong along with Will Kingston, Dr. Renee Trelo and Kai Wilshaw. Tonight on the show...
I am Groot. What's going on here?
Yeah, what was going on there? Renee?
Your chance to grill us in Ask the Five.
And why are trans athletes still competing with biological women?
It's triggered tantrums. And obviously, we'll have beavers.
Yeah, we love our beaver segments here on the show. It's 8 p.m. and this is the Saturday 5 Extra. Yeah, look at this. We've got our pints and wine glasses, everybody. Yeah, how do you like the pour? I think this is actually not too bad. It's never really a full pint. Look at that. Daniel refused to come and show his face in this abysmal lack of a full pint.
Pour's okay, but what's this beer?
Yeah.
Actually, do we have a sponsorship agreement?
No, we can't say who it is, unfortunately.
Beer.
Many beers are available.
Really? You have a rosé?
Kai, you really ruined it for everybody. Everyone was really happy until you ruined it at the end of the last hour. You said, hope you don't let him get away with comparing Diana to a drug-dealing criminal. That got what he deserved. Kai, you hate Princess Diana, don't you?
Yeah. No. I need to fess up. I'll put my hands up. Look, last week I was called a paedo apologist.
Yeah. Well, you did say you sympathise with paedophiles, guys. You did say it.
I said worse. I said
you did once diss
Well, he said worse.
He got me into a bit of a corner. But no, Princess Diana is not the same.
You did once diss the Queen.
I did once diss. You know, we're racking them up.
You really do hate this country, don't you?
Oh, shush.
Okay. Right.
I won't take that from an Aussie.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the Saturday 5 Extra. Coming up this hour, we're answering all your questions. As you can see, I'm always reading out your say, and it's your last chance to get them in for Ask the Five. So, no topic off limits. I've got a few of them here. gbnews.com/your say to get your views in. But before we start tearing each other apart, it's Saturday night news with Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much. The top stories. French and UK border patrol vessels have been overwhelmed by a record surge in small boat migrants. Over 1,000 crossed the English Channel today. The latest arrivals have smashed the daily total for this year as people smugglers pushed out multiple migrant boats from a stretch of French coastline. Several British and French lifeboats had to be called in to help border patrol vessels on both sides of the Channel deal with the huge numbers crossing. The provisional figure is a huge leap on the previous one-day record of 825 migrants who made the illegal journey on the 21st of May. Elsewhere, Defence Secretary John Healey says there is no doubt that UK defence spending will rise to 3% of GDP by 2034 at the latest. The government will unveil its Strategic Defence Review on Monday, which will outline its priorities for military and security spending in the coming years. Sir Keir Starmer in February set out plans to increase defence spending to 2.5% by April 2027. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Defence says more than £1.5 billion in extra funding for military homes will be confirmed as part of the government's Strategic Defence Review. Here's what John Healey has to say on this.
We've got to serve them better, we owe them better, and we especially owe them and their families better homes. For too long, our forces have made extraordinary sacrifices to serve this country, and yet we've forced their families to live in substandard accommodation. That ends.
It's under 24 hours until the sale and supply of disposable vapes are banned across the UK. The move is being used as a way to tackle waste and the impact of vapes on the environment. Nature Minister Mary Creagh says there'll be hefty fines for anyone who doesn't comply with the ban.
What we're clear is that we want to be the government that creates a smoke-free generation. So we're taking strong, decisive action to ban single-use vapes. You can see here 8 million of them disposed every week. Fires across the country caused in facilities like this. We will not hesitate to take action if we find that the manufacturers are flouting the ban. We're going to crack down on the cowboys that are going to, we think, will carry on selling these vapes, and they now face a fine, potentially an unlimited fine for repeat offenders, and in jail time as well for those who repeat offend.
A man has been arrested after reports a car collided with a number of pedestrians in Leicester after reports of a fight in the area. 2 men and 2 women have been injured following the incident shortly after 12:30 a.m. 3 of those hurt are in hospital with serious injuries. A 31-year-old man from Leicester has been arrested on suspicion of causing grievous bodily harm with intent and causing serious injury by dangerous driving. And a body has been found in the search for a girl missing in the River Thames, police said this afternoon. A body was recovered from the river near Gravesend with the assistance of the RNLI at around 11:40 this morning. A boy who was rescued is in a stable condition in hospital. And those are the latest GB News headlines for now.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5. Coming up is our favourite part of the show because you get to ask us anything. Yes, it's time for Ask the 5. Now, while Tatiana was busy reading the news, I had a message come in from a peer of the realm for that panel.
Wow,
the peer says, who will be, they're watching live, who will be the next UK Prime Minister? Will it happen or before the next general election? Will? Briefly,
Yes.
come on. Yes. Yes, what?
Yes, Angela Rayner.
And, OK, before the next general election?
Yes.
Renee?
I'm a bit triggered by that.
Can't get any worse.
That's funny. You're actually you're my tantrum in the next hour.
Go on, who is it?
You know, I think Will might be right, but I am really triggered by that because if you thought this guy was bad, 2-tier, Angela Rayner, I mean, honestly.
The tip was when she said, I absolutely am not interested in the leadership of the party.
Trey, will there be a new Prime Minister before or at the next general election?
At the next general election, probably might be Nigel, I would probably say.
OK, put your bet and your money on Nigel Farage. Your bestie, Kai? Is she going to be Prime Minister?
I'm really torn on this. I don't know. I don't know whether the Labour Party will... I don't know if they'll pull each other apart. I think... but I don't think Nigel Farage is going to be the next Prime Minister. No way.
OK, well, do you know what? I think at the moment there's more likeliness of being a new Conservative Party leader than there is a Prime Minister.
Yeah, definitely. Much more likely.
However, I do think Angela Rayner's got her manifesto out now, hasn't she? There's blood in the water. Keir Starmer's pretty... You know, if I was a shark like Rayner, she's making a case now for the country, isn't she? All right, we've got some more questions coming in. This one is from Susan.
Hi. The country today is very different to the country I grew up in the 60s and 70s. Immigration was set between 40 and 50,000. We had no NHS waiting lists. We had no housing crisis, no climate crisis. Men were paid enough money so that they could provide a good life for their family. And we certainly didn't have a stabbing crisis. So my question to the panel is this. When did it all start to go wrong? And who should we blame?
I think it's one man, Tony Blair, New Labour. That's where it all started going downhill, Susan, in my opinion. I know Kai's going to disagree with me, but go on, Will.
Well, the one thing I'll just add to that, and I agree with you in the UK, that's the origin of a lot of problems. Having, again, come back from Australia, there's the same feeling, that same feeling of malaise and decline in Australia as there is in the UK. And I imagine a lot of people in Europe feel the same way as well. Maybe the US is an outlier a bit at the moment. But I think this is a Western trend where there is this general sense of malaise and decline, and it isn't just limited to the UK.
Kai? Well, when did it all go wrong?
I agree with Will, and that means that... No, because what Will just told you is that this is a sense across Western countries, and so you're blaming Tony Blair for something that is clearly systemic.
You hate Princess Diana.
Clearly
you
systemic.
defend paedophiles.
I do
and
not.
now you're best friends with Tony Blair. Can't get much worse for you. It's a triple whammy today.
I'm going to have to commit to dressing up as Princess Diana just to make a point.
Can we get that on the record?
Well, look,
you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
We've done Beavers, and next Princess Diana. What could be more appropriate?
If you keep agreeing with us too much, you won't be able to join us.
You got to push back.
He's joining Reform UK next, isn't he? Trey, what do you make of season?
Do you know what I think? Yeah, I agree with Kai a little bit. I don't think you can blame it all on Blair. I think it is a Western thing that's been happening.
Right.
And it's been happening since the early noughties. And I think, again, it's a lack of leadership, guys. It's not just Blair. It's just a lack of leadership with generally.
It's embarrassment of the West that we're bending over backwards to apologise for colonialism.
Yeah. No, but that wouldn't explain it all.
Yeah.
You know, stabbing, this is a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
it's just a lack of leadership.
OK, well, let's get on to our next question. That's from Alan. He's coming.
Good evening, folks. From what you've seen of the Labour government so far, do you think that there's a single person in the government who's actually competent or even fit to hold office?
OK, Alan's asking, is there anyone in government who is fit to hold office? You know what, Alan? It's not that they're not fit to run office, that they're not experienced enough to run office. They haven't got the work experience. And, you know, under Keir Starmer's own rules, as he said the other day, his dad worked in a factory 5 days a week, and that made him qualified to also know what it's like to work in a factory 5 days a week, which I think is bonkers. That's like me saying, I know what it's like to be a brain surgeon, because, hypothetically speaking, my dad is a brain surgeon. Completely bonkers stuff. That's the kind of excuses we get for trying to justify themselves as working class people. They're not. Keir Starmer's not working class.
It's also
doesn't understand the working class.
But it's not even just that. I wouldn't mind if they actually had an ideology that wasn't actually set on continuing this social decline that we're seeing. And that's the problem, that all of them are infected with the same ideology that is destroying the country.
Yeah, Trey, what do you make of the question there?
Is anyone fit? No, and I think it's because they're all sort of from this... They're separated from everyone, from ordinary people, isn't it? Same sort of university, same background. They don't really have a real connection with what's going on the street. And I think you're right. There's a sense of them being more beholden to an ideology rather than looking at
Most of these
leadership.
people are state-educated in the Labour Party currently, though.
Yeah, but they still have the same way of looking at the world. It isn't like, let's get in there amongst people. It's all about... it's all about performance, all about career. And I get a sense of they're thinking, what am I going to do after? As opposed to, what do I really want to do?
Go on, let's get the lefties for that opinion.
Again, just like last week, we're hearing, oh, we want people with charisma, but we don't want people who are showboating, whereas we've just talked about Robert Jenrick doing some performative video when he's been Minister of State for Immigration. Like, you know, you can't have it both ways. You can't want politicians who have loads of experience outside of politics, but then also can, you know, understand the system, political systems. I mean,
Lee here makes a good point. Lee saying here, having no experience is not the same thing as being fit to be in office, and that's a very good point. And I think, look, when you say fit to be in office, you mean, is this person capable of getting things done? Are they capable of understanding the way Parliament works? And it'd be too far for me to say they're not fit to hold office. Joe Biden wasn't fit to hold office. He was a very ill man and clearly not mentally capable. It's not about whether you're fit, it's about whether or not you're capable of doing the job.
And passionate.
And passionate and love the country. But let's get on to Norma.
Is it really possible to be happy? Is it possible to find happiness? What is the secret of happiness?
What is the secret to happiness?
Before we get to that,
this is very philosophical, Norma.
Be somewhere nice and sunny, where she
Before I
is.
get to that, can someone tell me kind of, you know, Norma's lifestyle? Or I want to, you know, can we join for the holiday, Norma? This just looks fantastic.
Saturday 5 Extra, wherever Norma is.
We should do the next show from there.
Renee, what's the key to happiness?
You know, I think this is really interesting. I think, obviously, we all put far too much store by material things as being the measure of our happiness. And actually, to be happy is to actually be content in oneself. And it doesn't matter what other people think, but it's difficult to let go of that. And we should look inwards, we should look to the people closest to us and enjoy them, and also live like today might be your last, because it might be.
Yeah, do you know what? I think there's something important in that. And I think, you know, especially when we're doing this show, everyone on this panel might have had this at some point, is you're going to get people who dislike you, whether they dislike you for some completely ridiculous reason that you think is completely crazy, or whether they... Or in your case...
For paedo-apologism,
Hug a pedo. You took it out of my mouth there. It was spot on there. But you also have to get to a point where you don't care what other people think. You have to just say with conviction what you believe in. If you're not right by the vast majority of people's opinion, you just have to go with it, right?
Dance like no one's watching.
I love that. I love that. OK, let's get some more of these questions in here. John McCarthy, on the question of whether or not the government is currently fit to run office, says, Alex, say it as it is. They are all incompetent and out of their depth. Does anyone agree with that?
No. Yes.
Yeah, Renee?
That is such a ridiculous blanket statement, though, isn't it? To write off an entire class of politicians.
OK, I'll be the only one to answer Alan's earlier question directly. The best politician in Labor is Wes Streeting.
No.
It is a great irony that he's also going to be booted out in the next election because of Islamic sectarian politics, the type of Islamic sectarian politics that the Labor Party has done so much to champion.
No comment.
What do you make of that, Trey?
I think, come on, guys, whether it's been Tory or Labour, a lot of them have not been great. I think there are layers to political power that we're not aware of, and I think a lot of them are not dancing to their own hymn sheet. They are following something else that we can't see. That's the problem. And I think if any of us had that power, we likely might be in that same position.
Yeah, I do think you've got something in that there, Renee, because there's a bureaucracy behind government now, and the EU is a really good example of this on steroids. I mean, its most powerful part of it is an unelected bureaucratic commission, right, which none of us have a vote in. And that shows the kind of power behind the scenes there moving things.
There was an excellent article in the Telegraph this week by Alistair Heath about how the next government will bring Farage down, and he detailed how they will do it using the banks, the stock market, the global authorities. They will bring him down.
Yeah, very interesting. I did read that.
That was a
really good
article.
read, actually. But let's see if that happens, because people should pay attention to those things. They tried to do it with Trump, remember? They tried to lock him up, they tried to put him in prison, they tried to take away his money and close his businesses, and it failed, ultimately.
Well, but yes,
too big to fail.
In the first term, it largely succeeded in stymieing his agenda. And in the second term, when he learned how to actually navigate the machine, he's been more successful at getting what he wants to get.
But was he too big to fail, or is there something behind the scenes where he's agreed to something?
We're getting into conspirity theory. Saturday 5.
Wouldn't be the first
Alex
time.
Jones out here. We could talk about.
There we go.
Infowars. Yeah. OK. Well, look. Listen. One question from DK: do the panel think the demise of the West is deliberate? Interesting stuff. Look, I could spend an entire show, 3 hours. We could probably spend talking about this stuff because it's so interesting and it's so complicated. There's so much to talk about, but also, you know, it's speculative as well, because none of us will ever know.
This is nuts.
Willie is always the first to sink his pint, good lad. I mean, that is gone. He was only born like 5 minutes ago. Anyway, all right. Coming up, defying protests and even Donald Trump. One trans athlete has been allowed to dominate the women's category at the California State Championships. We will see you after the break.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
US Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins told GB News she wants the UK to put British farmers first in light of the new trade agreement between the two nations. Let's take a listen.
Putting your farmers first and ensuring that the backbone of your country, you can't have true national security without food security.
Well, they're hiking taxes on these family farms. That's a big issue here.
That's right, and that's a problem. I mean,
are you worried about that?
100%.
Why does she care about our farmers? Surely she just wants to sell US goods over here.
Oh, I think it's perfectly consistent to say that, you know, you should care about your farmers, we should care about our farmers.
We can all love our farmers.
It's also a great name, Brooke Rollins.
But I'm here at the Balmoral Show, and everything is around us here. We've come inside to the food hall, and joining me is Michelle Shirlow of Food NI. Good afternoon, Michelle.
Afternoon, Dougie.
Tell us, what is the industry? What's the feeling in the food producers at this moment?
Well, as you can see all around you, there's lots of success. There's lots of innovation. We have over 120 producers here, and we've had all the top supermarket buyers in this morning. But ultimately, businesses do need certainty, and they need security, and they kind of need to know what are the regulations, what are the deals, so that they can plan long term and for the future.
What government does in a low level or consultation papers starts to climb up the line. First it's national insurance, then inheritance tax, then we have phosphate regulation that is going to mean in Northern Ireland we will have to have 2 acres per cow as opposed to 1, and all of this is costing money to our biggest industry, and it will eventually cost jobs. Michelle saying there, business needs certainty, and that's what they're really looking for here at the show.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Welcome back to GB News Saturday 5 Extra. We've got some breaking news right now. GB News sources have confirmed the number of small boat migrants who crossed illegally to the UK today, on Saturday, has increased to almost 1,200. Let that sink in for a second. A total of 18 small boats made the crossing with an average of more than 65 migrants on each boat. Let's just get a quick word from my panel here. Renee, these are tiny boats, 65, more probably men, we're speculating here, but probably most likely to be young men, as we've seen the cadence be.
I mean, look at the pictures. These are all young men who are going to need a hotel room and eventually a home. They're going to need doctors, they're going to need dentists, and when they have kids, they're going to need schools. Some of them will say they're kids and need schools as well. It's a disgrace. We've got an infrastructure that can't cope with our people, and every single day, this just adds to it.
Yeah, Will, your country, Australia, solved this crisis quite quickly with some tough action. What's holding the UK back?
Guts, Alex. In a word, guts. Dominic Cummings entered the debate this week, and now whilst, you know, you can argue that potentially some of the issues here can be pulled back to the Boris Johnson government, if not earlier, he said very simply 2 things. Number one, get the Special Forces of the UK onto the smugglers in France. And number 2, send these people back to some island somewhere. I don't care if it's Rwanda, I don't care if it's somewhere else, but you need to say to these people, if you arrive illegally by boat, you will never settle in the UK permanently.
Kai,
ever.
This is extremely damning for Keir Starmer. He's been banging on about smashing the gangs now. We've almost had a year into his premiership, and this number is up, over 40% of what Rishi Sunak had this time last year. Rishi Sunak was bringing in Rwanda. We had reports of people queuing up in Calais because they didn't want to make the crossing in because they were worried about being deported to Rwanda from the UK. You know, it's not looking good for Keir Starmer. Is he going to have to backtrack? We're going to need a Rwanda-style deal?
He's not going to backtrack. There needs to be more muscular action. And I think actually what you're seeing at the minute is the political class in the UK realising what people like Nigel Farage realised a long time ago, that there needs to be more work on stopping immigration like this. But I will pick you up on one thing, mispronunciating English words. Rwanda, I mean... Rwanda,
tomato. Trey, 14,000 migrants so far this year, 10,400, I believe, this time last year. Is this a sign that Keir Starmer's smash the gangs policy has completely failed so far?
Yeah, it has. And I think, again, I keep banging on about that, there's a lack of leadership. At the end of the day, this is illegal smuggling, and it's not being dealt with that level of urgency that it deserves. Apart from anything, it's just a divisive issue that's tearing the country apart, no matter where you stand on the debate. But it's not treated like that. It almost sometimes feels a bit deliberate, you know?
Yeah.
Just deal with it, guys. How
I
hard
am
is it?
getting up and going to work every day to pay for these people to live in a hotel room.
Yeah, there we
and
go.
I have no choice over that.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, the British public time and time again have wanted this situation to end immediately, but they don't seem to be listening at the moment, do they? Maybe they will before a general election, though. Welcome back to the Saturday 5 Extra. While you're on your say, because we love hearing from you, I want to hear what you think about these groundbreaking, record-breaking numbers here. 1,200 migrants have just illegally broken into the United Kingdom today. And while you're at it, of course, keep your messages coming in for the gang here. We'll ask them throughout the show. OK, let's move on. In the US, the inclusion of transgender high school athlete in the girls category has become a topic of national debate. A.B. Hernandez's dominant performance at California's state track and field championships, where she easily outpaced her female competitors, that sparked protests in America. Hernandez's participation also defied President Donald Trump, who had threatened to withhold federal funding from California if she were allowed to compete in this week's championships, which began on Friday. To discuss, I am pleased to welcome inclusive culture expert with SSE Change Happen, Joanne Lockwood. Joanne, thank you very much for joining us. I'll ask a question that I'm sure our audience would want answered immediately. Why should biological men be allowed to compete with biological women, given the fact that they have advantages over women?
Good evening, and thank you, panel, for welcoming me on tonight. I think what you're doing here is you're confusing biological men with trans people and also people who are intersex. I think what we're doing is we're scapegoating a small minority of people and causing distress, exclusion and isolation from a sport which is a fundamental human right.
Joanne, with all due respect, I'm not confused. I understand the difference between male and female, and changing your sex just because you have an operation doesn't change your biological makeup of you as a human being. If you were born a biological man, you are likely to have chemicals in your DNA, chemicals in your body that make you a better athlete than women. That is a scientific fact. So I go back to the question, do you think biological men and biological women should be competing in the same playing field?
Numerous studies have been carried out by medical professionals around the world showing that after prolonged reduction of testosterone in your system, that muscle mass and other factors of biology significantly decrease back to that of cisgender females. So it's not true to say that biological men and trans people have the same advantage without testosterone. Muscle mass, lung capacity, various aspects of our physiology decrease rapidly once we've removed testosterone from our system for many, many years.
Yeah.
Hi, Joanne. Thanks for giving that data, but unfortunately that data isn't proven true. So once a boy has developed and gone through puberty, they don't ever lose their larger heart or their larger lungs or their heavier bones. In actual fact, they did a test on men who had actually had their hormones suppressed, their testosterone, for more than 2 years, and they could still run 12% faster. After 12 months of hormone suppression, men were still 48% stronger than women, 35% larger quadriceps, the biggest muscle in the body. This just isn't true. This is a fiction that you are putting out on TV. It's not true and it's not supported in data. So back to Alex's question, why should people that have a natural advantage because they are male be allowed to beat women into submission in sport?
Let me give you another perspective on that. There's very little studies, accurate studies around performance of people who are trans who've been taking hormones, although the US Army and the US Air Force probably have the largest population of transgender people that they can analyse. And studies have shown within the US Army, within the US Air Force, that muscle mass and performance significantly decreases. So I say, there is evidence, and we can all cite examples, we can all come up with our own perspectives on what is right, what is wrong. but there are statistical analysis by the US military showing that muscle mass does decrease and performance decreases to a point equivalent to biological females.
No, so it doesn't ever, because a heart never shrinks, lungs never shrink. It's not true. And having a bigger heart...
But then what you're saying there, what you've got to appreciate, though, is if your muscle mass decreases, your capability decreases, you're carrying larger bones, you're carrying more mass. So the problem is you're actually more disadvantaged because you no longer have the machinery to drive the size of body you have.
As a doctor, I have looked into this extensively, and everything you're saying is not true. Men always retain an advantage, and I agree with you, it might be less than before they started taking hormone suppressors. But coming to your point about human rights, you said it's a human right to play in sport. Nobody is stopping trans people playing in sport. What they're saying is you play your sport in the sex category into which you were born. Or, if that doesn't work, and I can see why it wouldn't work for some, then play against other trans people. Where's the human right loss there?
Well, I've seen a great example recently in California, where what they're doing is they're allowing transgender women to compete in sport, yet when the results are published, the trans person does not displace a cis female. I think that's a really excellent way of compromising to create sport that's inclusive for all, without categorising people and putting them in the other category.
So my daughter has to come second to a trans man, but then it's separated out at the end. She has to face that humiliation to make the trans man feel OK, trans woman feel OK about themselves.
Well, what happens then if a trans man wants to compete? You know, the argument gets blown out the water here when you're trying to pick and choose.
They don't win. Trans men don't win because they're women competing against men. It's only trans women that win because they're competing against women.
But did you hear the example I used from California recently, where they were saying that what happens is if a trans woman competes in a female category of sport and comes third, then the cis female who's competing in that also gets a third. So the trans person doesn't displace, they augment the results.
OK, can I bring Kai into the chat, Kai?
Inclusion.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joanne, for this. And, you know, the anti-trans lobby never have an answer to this, do they? They never want to hear some of the practical solutions that, for instance, you've just explained. Now, isn't the effect of all this, just to zoom out, the effect of all this and the debate around trans people in sport, the effect has just been to marginalise trans people even more, hasn't it? What does that mean for the average trans person just trying to live their lives?
Right now, it's being completely disenfranchised. You know, I went from being a citizen with rights, my gender recognition certificate, my legality of being female. I passed all of the tests, the high bar. Even the Conservative government said was a high bar and a world standard to protect. I've passed those tests. I've been through psychological assessments. I've had medical intervention. I'm what you could probably call of old a transsexual woman. I've passed those tests along with many other people. And over breakfast, my rights were moved. On that 16th of April, I sat there, ate my cornflakes, and by the end of my cornflakes, I'd lost my citizenship as a woman. And not only that, the whole debate was weaponised, and people, when the judge said, this is not a victory, but that is not how it seemed. The celebrations outside the court, the people laughing, the weaponisation I see on LinkedIn and other platforms now, debates such as your own on GBNews, what we're doing is we're being marginalised and pushed out to the point where we're having to have potentially cheek swabs to use toilets, produce our birth certificates, and completely humanised. And
unfortunately, we're running out.
One second, let me finish
Joanne,
this.
very quickly, because we've literally got to go to a break.
We're still protected by gender reassignment, but that protection seems to be eroding because of the weaponisation against it.
Yeah.
OK, Joanne Lockwood there, thank you very much for coming onto the show. Still to come on the Saturday 5. What is... Well, we've got something coming up for you next. Anyway, here it is.
I don't think Harvard's been acting very nicely. I think Columbia wants...
Yeah, that's triggered tantrums. We're gonna get into this debate because you guys have gone nuts here on your say. We'll talk about that after the break with the Saturday 5.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heatwave conditions set to continue across parts of Europe where 40 degrees Celsius is possible, this turning into a thundery breakdown elsewhere. Now, the heatwave conditions will continue across parts of Portugal, Spain and also Morocco, but it's likely we'll see the peak of heat through today. But this turning into thundery showers, particularly across France and Germany, but elsewhere across Rome, the Adriatic coastline and across Greece, it should be mostly dry, settled, still feeling warm in the sunshine, and temperatures into next week still remaining in the mid-20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Quite a changeable look to the weather on Sunday, a mixture of rain or showers for some of us, but there will be some sunshine, particularly in the south and the east. It is going to be turning a good deal fresher though, this cold front bringing in some fresher winds from the Atlantic as we go into Sunday, and those isobars tightening together to bring some brisker winds. One or two showers on Saturday evening, just moving their way eastwards across England and Wales, but many areas actually ending the day on a dry note with some clear periods overnight. Notice these clumps of heavy showers and longer spells of rain arriving across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland though, and here turning quite windy once again. Temperatures not as high as they have been in recent nights and feeling a good deal fresher by the morning. So for Northern Ireland and western parts of Scotland, quite a wet start to the day on Sunday. That rain particularly heavy across the Highlands, the Grampians and down across the central belt as well. A mixture of sunshine showers to the northwest of Scotland and across Northern Ireland. So you may be lucky enough to stay dry just about here. But a few isolated showers also for Northern England, Wales and southwest England too. The best of the morning sunshine across the Midlands and eastern parts of the UK. But as we go through the morning, the cloud will tend to just bubble up a bit towards the east. Still some sunny spells here. Some pretty heavy showers, the odd rumble of thunder though across Wales, Northern England and Western Scotland. And here it will be a fairly blustery day, perhaps even coastal gales through the Irish Sea. So feeling quite a bit cooler than it has done of late. Still holding on to a little bit of warmth in the far southeast with highs of around 22 or 23 in the London area. A fine day to come for most of us on Monday, just a few very isolated showers developing, but notice it does start to turn much windier up towards the northwest and out towards the west. We've got this much wetter and windier area of weather coming in from Monday night and into Tuesday. So a wet and windy spell for many of us as we begin the day on Tuesday, and it looks set to stay pretty changeable for the rest of the week.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dormy, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5 Extra. You guys really want to talk about this, and you know we do what we want on this show. My producer's going to be about that, but we do. We do what we want. We're going to talk about that debate we just had, that interview we just had with Joanne Lockwood on the trans athlete in California. It sent you guys into a frenzy, rightfully so, in my opinion. Who wants to kick this off? Because we maybe give Kai a bit of a break.
Right, I'm just going to say this. To Kai telling me that we should be finding solutions, why is it always men who are explaining to women why they have to give up their rights? You don't ever get it the other way round. This is not about women making room for trans women. Let them have their own category. I have no problem with that at all. That's inclusive. There's your answer.
Will?
I agree with everything that Renee said. The one thing I would add is on gender pronouns. I'll pull back the curtain to our discussions we were having in the green room beforehand. And some people in the green room were saying that it is disrespectful if we were to not use she pronouns for Joanne. And my response to that is very simple. I think if we say that Joanne is a she, I think we are enabling a gender ideology which has detrimental and very harmful impacts on women. That is why I think gender pronouns aren't just a sign of respect. They are a very important critical enabler to a very dangerous ideology.
Trey, what do you make of those comments?
I'm torn on this, actually, because people with genuine gender dysphoria, I am minded to have some level of compassion for that. But I think, Renee, you're right. I think it kind of gives some men a backdoor to be able to suppress women. And I think there needs to be more of a debate on this, because we can't keep running life based on feelings. Like what you said about some of the scientific facts, that needs to be brought in, you know. It's just, again, it's leadership. Who's willing to say, this is how it is, they're not going to be in sports and that's that. But just still with some level of compassion and kindness.
Kai?
You know?
Briefly.
Competitive sports is obviously a controversial issue. Recreational sports, not so. And frankly,
Says the man.
what I said back when the Supreme Court judgment came through is I hope that this settles the issue legally, but means that it doesn't translate into a cultural thing where people are horrible to trans people.
Says the
But
man.
what we see is a continuation of a right-wing agenda to be absolutely discompassionate.
There's the left.
completely
I think
discompassionate.
Kai's got a bit of a point. It's just a little bit of kindness, but you can't disagree with what Renee said.
No, but it doesn't
It becomes a
justify-
feeling thing, and everyone thinks let's suppress ourselves because of feelings. But Renee's got a very, very clear point. But I think you're right. The way it's done sometimes is just giving people carte blanche just to be nasty for no reason. That's what I don't like.
We tell children all of the time that they mustn't lie and they must always tell the truth.
Yeah.
And then, in the next minute, in their next lesson at school, we tell them that actually, when Kai says he's a woman, even though you know he's not a woman, this lie you must tell.
Yeah, that's so true. I just want to
clarify.
Go on very quick. You're not a woman. Yes, we know.
I don't identify.
Yes, we know. Well, I hope not.
Identify as a Beaver.
Anyway, United Nations study reported that transgender athletes competing in women's sport have won nearly 900 medals and more than 400 competitions to 29
tiny,
sports.
though.
Yeah, that has resulted in over 600 biological females losing out on podium finishes. This is the
tiny,
problem.
Kai.
This is the problem. It always comes at the cost to women. Never hear this about men, do you? And therein lies the problem. And no matter what Joanne says, unfortunately, I completely disagree with Joanne's science on this. Men are biologically... Well, it's their science. Men biologically are different to women. We have advantages when it comes to sport. Even Serena Williams admitted if she went up against the 105th seed of male tennis, she would get trounced, right? She's a brilliant player, right? This is the reality. We've got to stop living in this fantasy reality to appease a small minority of people at the loss of the vast majority of great female athletes. OK. Everyone done? Got it up? Got it out of the system? All right, It's time for our nice part of our show called High Five, where we discuss the most uplifting moments from the past. But we're going to have to be quick. Go on. What have you got for us, Will?
Yeah, it's one of our favourites on the Saturday Five. It's the ambassador of to the UK from Japan, Ambassador Suzuki. Let's see what he's plugging this week.
I am Groot. What else can beat this? It's great.
I love him. I think he's great. If only more politicians had that sort of pride in the country.
Go on, Renee. What you got?
So I've got a fantastic woman called Stephanie Case, aged 42. After 3 miscarriages, she had her daughter called Pepper, and then she went out and she won the 100-kilometre ultra marathon trial, and she stopped for longer breaks between to breastfeed Pepper. What a woman.
That's incredible.
Women are strong.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've completely forgotten what I Give me 1 second. Hang on. It's been a long show. Hang on. Oh, yeah, of course. Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais. That's the I wanted to talk about very briefly. Ricky Gervais has got his star on Hollywood Boulevard. Do you know what I did find out today? Apparently the studio's paid for it, though, so that's really taken the wind out of my sails. So moving on very quickly, Trey.
So my one is a story about the great things about fostering. As someone who's married to someone who has adopted, very similar thing. I think I love that sort of story because there are so many kids that just language, you know, in foster care, and they don't have a chance to be part of a family. And we all know of the stats of what happens to a lot of kids in foster care. Don't always have the best of life. So it's just a lovely feel-good story.
OK, and finally, Kai, of course, we can't very, very briefly, what have we got? Quick.
Eeyore and Winnie the Beavers.
We'll talk about it after the break. All right. OK. Not yet. We're going to more coming up, of course. Elon Musk is coming up. Well, see you soon.
Nigel is back.
Good evening.
Unfiltered.
Are these proposals bold enough?
Uncompromising.
Will it bring growth?
Unmissable.
We as a country are brilliant.
Nigel Farage returns this Tuesday from 7 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5 Extra. We would be amiss if we didn't do our weekly Beaver story. Of course, with our in-house de facto Beaver, who wore a Beaver outfit for a couple of weeks, so we're going to get it back on. It's Kai Wilshaw. Take it away.
Well, now I've already promised to dress up as Princess Diana to make sure people don't think I hate her.
Is there a combo you could do? I don't know. Is that disrespectful?
A Diana Beaver. I think I'd get cancelled. Look. Two beavers that were moved from Scotland to Norfolk have been shown to improve water quality. Yes, Eeyore and Winnie in the River Glaver near Holt. It's in Norfolk. I have no more details. Or a joke about beavers.
I wonder why you would call a beaver Eeyore.
You could...
Eeyore?
Yeah.
Donkey, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you could call it Diana, it's right there for you.
Oh, crikey.
Winnie would
OK, that's enough Beaver news for the week. I think we should get on with our...
Beaver.
Okay. Guys. Now it's time for Triggered Tantrums before this panel just goes into any more dismay tonight. Trey, what have you got for us, mate?
So I've got plus-size travellers complaining about the struggle of taking flights.
Let's take a look.
We're plus-size travelers. Of course we think about if we need a second seat before we book a flight.
We're plus-size travelers. Of course we ask for the seatbelt extender as soon as we board the flight.
We're plus-size travelers. Of course we get dirty looks anytime we're traveling.
We're plus-size travelers. Of course we're expected to pay more just to travel comfortably.
Duh. These are yes. Unfortunately, for the rest of the people who are on the plane, it's not nice either.
But apparently it's our fault.
It's apparently everyone else has got to suffer because plus-size travellers can't hack it. I just don't understand. Like, you know, if you are a large person, of which, you know, this is becoming an increasinging problem in size and everything. Sorry. You should have to pay for a second seat.
Yeah,
If my luggage is over, right? If my luggage is over by that much, someone comes over and they say, "You're paying for that, mate. 30 quid per way at least."
Well, here's a thought. Get off the couch, stop eating McDonald's, get on a treadmill and lose some weight and take some responsibility for your life.
Get off the couch, pop open your Ozempic and...
Unless you're watching the Saturday 5, in which case...
You're allowed to do that.
You're allowed to relax.
Enjoy yourself.
I think what's sad about this, though, because in my days, I think you were allowed to say you're fat and it was quite motivating. I think now we've got to be quite sensitive. And I understand for some people it's very hard for them to lose the weight, but we're normalising this thing. Exactly. We're normalising this thing around weight and making it OK, and I think that's not good because, you know, people are dying from type 2 diabetes and heart disease and the rest of it. And I think that's what's really, really sad about all of this.
All right, well, let's have a look at what have you got for us?
Oh, let's just take a look at this video and you decide for yourself what's going on here in the Oval Office.
But I don't think Harvard's been acting very nicely. I think Columbia wants to get to the bottom of the problem. They've acted very well. And there are other institutions, too, that are acting, but Harvard's trying.
He's a rocker. Sorry. We were just laughing about that just now. Fresh off this New York Times expose this week that claimed that Elon Musk has been increasing his use of ketamine while in the government.
Why would they think that?
This video comes out. I mean, goodness me. It's clear as day for anyone to see. He's high as a kite.
The black eye.
In the Oval Office.
Please explain the black eye somewhere.
He has, but friends say, and friends and colleagues say, in this New York Times expose that the last few months has got quite worrying and has also meant that he's not able to take proper decisions.
Well, yeah, he is high as a kite.
He is. That's
unbelievable.
And with a visible black eye.
Yeah, allegedly, guys.
Elon Musk is not here to defend himself.
It's all right.
And if you are going to sue anyone you're watching Elon, it's Will Kingston going after, because I'm sure Will has the money to go up against you for this one.
I love you otherwise, Elon. Big fan of Doge.
You're done now, mate. I say you're finished.
That's a very good tantrum.
It was a good tantrum.
Good one.
Yeah, the black eye, just to explain to you.
Yes,
so Elon Musk did get asked that question in the Oval Office, and supposedly it was his little boy who gave it to him. Do you believe it, Trey?
I wonder whether it was a bit like the French president, something happened behind the scenes that he doesn't want to actually talk about. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up just with some of your comments. We haven't got very long, but Sandy Bow says, Alex, please ask your guests not to use cis references to biological women. I completely agree. So it's offensive to women. I completely agree. You wouldn't probably hear it on this panel, maybe on the left.
Well, it was Joanne used it, and, you know,
Joanne did use it.
I was angry enough. I didn't want to pull her up on that too.
Yeah. Michael... David Jackson's asking, do you love beavers that much, Kai?
You know what? There's nothing I like better on a Saturday night than relaxing back with a good old beaver.
Click that, please.
Right, OK. Cushion Mummy says, I can't wait to see Lady Di Beaver.
No, let's not.
Goodness me.
It's now a thing.
It's a bit late. It's a bit late
I think it's a thing.
Beaver costume with a tiara.
Guys. I think we're going to have to do it now.
Sorry, Lady Di
Beaver.
Not Lady Di.
We've all been waiting for on GB News is Lady Diana and a beaver, apparently. Is there anyone... Have I missed any comments here? Let's have a quick look. Young lad here. We're talking about pronunciation earlier on. Evan Slater says, I'm 22. I can still never say Worcester sauce. Have I said that right? Worcester sauce?
Worcester sauce.
What did you just say?
Worcester sauce.
Well, it is spelled very
Well, that's how
weirdly.
he spelled it.
That's
Worcester sauce.
That's how he spelled it. He spelled it, yeah. GBN is very, very quick one, really fast. Ask the 5. Alex, Saturday night, let's face it, you're going to go for a drink afterwards. His predictions of what we drink are me, old-fashioned, Kai, Negroni, Will, G&T, Renee...
Oh, that's good.
Chamomile, doctor's orders, Trey, espresso martini. Correct? Yes or no?
He's nailed it.
Yeah, not bad, actually.
Rosé.
Yeah.
I like a cocktail. Yeah, I founded the...
Rosé. How much did you drink of that?
Not much.
Not much. Not well. She's a cheap date. She's a cheap date.
Will wants to read a message. Let him read his message,
Yes.
please.
Will's got some tips.
Oh, he's doing a shout-out.
A quick shout-out to Tracy, who has slid into my Twitter DMs. Apparently Tracy and the girls are having a night on the Cristal. The last message, they're up to their second bottle. It's getting quite lively. One of the girls works in the Treasury at London. So
Can
well
you sort
said.
these single?
So well said. And Renee, perfect. And then to sign off, the girls said all the girls are going to watch this program now every Saturday night.
Yeah,
right.
love it.
Say. Thank you, Tracy.
Can I just very quickly
Have a lovely
ask
night.
Tracy? Could you ping into us and ask us if you know Rachel Reeves, because we've got some memos she might be missing from her Deputy Prime Minister. Anyway, thank you very much to our lovely guests tonight, and thank you all for joining us at home. We love your company. We love your messages. Like, this is what makes the Saturday 5 great. Is we always are reading out your messages. So thank you very much, Will, Renee, Trey, Kai. We're going to go try some of those drinks, but next up, it's Ben Leo, I believe.
Alex, great show. Hello? There we go. Hello. I'm here. I can't believe you don't know how to pronounce Worcester sauce, but there we go. Roger Hermer, the Attorney General, he apparently has apologised. All the media today saying he said sorry. Read his statement. No, he hasn't. It was a statement of regret. He didn't actually say the all key important word. Elsewhere, takeaway shops with 0 hygiene ratings. I've been down to the town in East London with the most 0 ratings in all of the UK. More in just a sec. Here's your weather.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Quite a changeable look to the weather on Sunday, a mixture of rain or showers for some of us, but there will be some sunshine, particularly in the south and the east. It is going to be turning a good deal fresher though, this cold front bringing in some fresher winds from the Atlantic as we go into Sunday, and those isobars tightening together to bring some brisker winds. 1 or 2 showers on Saturday evening, just moving their way eastwards across England and Wales, but many areas actually ending the day on a dry note with some clear periods overnight. Notice these clumps of heavy showers and longer spells of rain arriving across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland though, and here turning quite windy once again. Temperatures not as high as they have been in recent nights and feeling a good deal fresher by the morning. So for Northern Ireland and western parts of Scotland, quite a wet start to the day on Sunday. That rain particularly heavy across the Highlands, the Grampians and down across the central belt as well. A mixture of sunshine showers to the northwest of Scotland and across Northern Ireland. So you may be lucky enough to stay dry just about here. But a few isolated showers also for Northern England, Wales and southwest England too. The best of the morning sunshine across the Midlands and eastern parts of the UK. But as we go through the morning, the cloud will tend to just bubble up a bit towards the east. Still some sunny spells here. Some pretty heavy showers, the odd rumble of thunder there across Wales, Northern England and Western Scotland. And here it will be a fairly blustery day, perhaps even coastal gales through the Irish Sea. So feeling quite a bit cooler than it has done of late. Still holding on to a little bit of warmth in the far southeast with highs of around 22 or 23 in the London area. A fine day to come for most of us on Monday, just a few very isolated showers developing, but notice it does start to turn much windier up towards the northwest and out towards the west. We've got this much wetter and windier area of weather coming in from Monday night and into Tuesday. So a wet and windy spell for many of us as we begin the day on Tuesday, and it looks set to stay pretty changeable for the rest of the week.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could be our biggest winner yet, touring in this stylish Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. This brand new 2025 model comes complete with kitchen and bathroom areas and enough space to comfortably sleep a family of 4. We'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to add a few of your favourite things. Don't miss out as lines close on the 6th of June. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on